Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Asian Psycho, and this episode of Symposium of Contemporary Criticism, hopefully I said that without a scratch. Probably didn't, but whatever. This episode is going to be dedicated to Angel Beats. Hopefully you guys have watched it. If you guys have not, first off, my general impressions of it is that it is an extremely good anime. Of course, maybe you don't agree with me, but hey, this is an opinion-based series, and if you don't like my opinion, then get the fuck out. So, Angel Beats. A little bit of background information about Angel Beats. It is produced by Key, which is very well known for producing other animes like Canon, both 2002 and 2006, Air, and Clannad. And me personally, am a very huge fan of Key back in the day when, I actually watched anime on a regular basis. Now I'm aware that they came out with Little Busters, which had been rumored to be in the making for like the past couple years or so. Maybe if it had come out a little bit earlier, I would have watched it entirely. But I've only watched maybe a one or two spare animes here and there, or episodes here and there. I think I might have watched like the first couple. I have definitely not gone past like episode 4 or something. But anyways, that's for another matter entirely. We're focused on Angel Beats here, and yeah, it's a 13 episode Angel Beats. It wasn't a very long season, as you can clearly tell by the fact that it was only 13 episodes. There are rumors that there will be a second season, but those rumors were out since ever since the end of the first season. So by which point, it's been some time since then. It's been like 3 years since the Angel Beats first debuted. So. I rest my case. Anyways, so Angel Beats, what's it about? So Angel Beats is an anime focusing on the afterlife. It's very clear from the very first episode that there are people in like this sort of afterworldish world where at first no one really knows why they're there. They just know that they are there, and they're trying to make sense of this world. Like they know how it's almost like a video game. They know the mechanics of how the world works. It's just that they want to know, they want to dig deeper and kind of figure out why this world is here, why they're there, and whatever. Kind of sounds like life in general, but in a more twisted sense. So your main character is a boy by the name of Otonashi. He only remembers his last name at first. So this guy named Otonashi is your main character, and he, on the first episode, he's dropped in this world. Like, he doesn't know why he's there. He only knows his last name, nothing else, and he just wakes up to this girl who has a fucking Shaytok 200 M200 intervention. Yes, I do know my gun facts. And she's staring at down at this soccer field or whatever. It's been again, I've watched this right as it came out, so my memory can be hazy here and there. He wakes up this girl holding an intervention sniper rifle, and she's staring down at the soccer field, or the track field, aiming at this one girl. Okay, yeah, that's not suspicious at all, right? So essentially, this whole plot is about this boy named Otonashi joining up with that particular girl, and her little army of helpers, whatever, and just trying to make sense of this world, and if possible, maybe get off it. But initially, no one really wants to get off this world. They know how to get off. It's to kind of follow along with this whole world, with the world that they're in, and but no one wants to try because no one knows what might happen afterwards, after they're gone from this little afterworld thing. So the whole anime is just devoted to their kind of adventures, and by the end of the anime, it's implied that basically everyone manages to get off, and they figure out why it is that they were placed in that world and such. So I know that was a very rushed kind of general sense, but we'll explain things along the way. So delving a little bit more deeply into the anime's kind of plot. Again, these are spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, then I suggest you go watch the anime first and then come back. If you don't care for it, then well, you get to listen to me spoil the entire thing for you. So this guy Otonashi is like I said, dropped in the world where at first it's like he doesn't know why he's there. He apparently it's explained within the first episode that it's a like he's got some sort of what's the term again? Amnesiac? Yeah, amnesia. He's a kind of an amnesiac. He doesn't really know much about himself except for his last name. And let's explain the world a little, because I feel like if I explain the world, then we can kind of expand from there. So, Angel Beats is set in a world where it's described as the afterlife. They know that for a fact. The girl in the first episode, the girl Yuri, who is the other main character. Well, there's three main characters, but Otonashi is one of them. Yuri, who is the kind of purple-haired-ish girl who likes to carry around like her handguns and whatever. The leader of the SSS, basically. Oh yeah, that's not so familiar as something else, right? She explains to him that if you are in this world, then that means you have died in the real world. They know that much. They know that this world is something like the afterlife, kind of twisted, but it's still what they call to be they say to be afterlife. You've died in the real world, and there's a reason why you're here. Only they don't know. They're trying to figure out why, like the reason why they're here. They don't know why they're here, so they're trying to find out why. And because this is the afterworld, they also want to know if there's a god. Or Yuri personally wants to know if there's a god in this afterworld thing. That's also what she's trying to kind of accomplish. This afterworld has some rules defined to it. It's set in a school, like a boarding school. So you've got this whole slice of life-ish aspect going on in Angel Beats, where the characters are set in a school environment, like basically like any other generic slice of life anime that focuses on high school boys and girls, and only there's some twists to it. First of all, because of the afterworld, you can't die, though you still feel the pain of dying. So it's kind of like in Toho, Fujiwara no Moko, and just like the Immortals, Fujiwara no Moko, Yagokuro Eiden, and Horai-san Kaguya. Like, they can die, but they actually feel the pain of dying, but they'll always come back. So, that's the thing. And it kind of applies to them also in Angel Beats, in that little afterworld setting. You can die, but you'll always come back, because the afterworld doesn't make sense if you're gonna die. If you die right, you're always gonna come back, because you've already died in real life. What does it matter? So yeah, throughout the anime, you will see lots of people die, but you don't really feel any much sympathy for them, because they'll come back anyway. So that's one of the rules. Another rule is that they know that if you want to disappear, then you follow along with the whole school thing. You go to class properly. You go to class properly. You follow the rules and whatnot. That's how you disappear. But because these people don't want to disappear, they want to stay here and find out why this world exists. They don't follow the rules. They wear different uniforms that are different from the NPCs, because the school is filled with real people who have died in the real world and have come here to this afterworld thing and know that they are real, as opposed to other NPC-like people, or what they label as NPCs. And and you got these NPCs where they've always been here for, I don't know, for whatever goddamn reason. The mechanics of this world aren't very clear. Like for example, my own personal question was, okay, so if these guys were always here, like, do they age? Like, how do they determine that? That's not very clear. But we'll assume that they don't really age either, because that doesn't really make sense. So yeah, there are NPCs there, and there are real people. The NPCs, you can interact with them, but for the most part, they're just gonna act like NPCs, like the good old NPCs you think of in other RPG-ish games. So you can think of it like that, like RuneScape, something like that. And the reason why, well, I shouldn't say the reason why. One of the ways that they stay in this world is by not behaving like the other NPCs, just basically doing deviant behavior and making sure that they don't go to class, they don't They basically can do whatever they want, essentially. I mean, who cares? You're not gonna die from anything. You can starve to death if you really wanted to. But you're still gonna come back good as new. So they don't really care. They just do whatever the hell they want, as long as they're not really participating in actual, actual properly conduct. So yeah, that's another thing that they know about that world, is that if you want to disappear for whatever reason, then you go ahead and follow the other guys. Don't follow the SSS, just follow the NPCs, and goodbye to you. That's also what they know about this world. And yeah, they also know, finally, that this world is being guarded or monitored or whatever by this particular girl named Tenshi. She is a white-haired girl who is the student council president of this school. They know that she's not. If they know that she's not an NPC, and if she is, she's a very special kind. She's a student council president, and she's got superpowers. Yeah. In the first episode, the first episode, she displays two of her powers. The first one is called Hand Sonic, where she kind of does like a StarCraft 1, not StarCraft 2, but StarCraft 1 Dark Templar-ish style blade from the top of her right hand, and she just summons that, and then she just stabs people or kills them. Does that whole melee business. It's wonderfully demonstrated in the first opening scene of Angel Beats, where Otonashi is like clearly confused because he just woke up from his coma in this new world and whatnot. And when he wakes up, he's just like, "Who are you? Why are you holding a sniper rifle? And is that thing real?" And Yuri's like, "Yes, this thing's real. You are here because you are dead. And would you like to join us?" And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why are you pointing a sniper rifle at this girl down there?" And so she's like, "Okay, if you if you want to know why I'm pointing a sniper rifle at that girl, then go down there and knock yourself out." So he does. He goes down there, meets with this girl, asks him what the hell he's doing there, what's going on, and she tells him that you can't die here. And he's like, "Okay, then prove it," or something along those lines. And she does. Uses the hand sonic, stabs him through the heart. End of story. GG, you all go home. No, just kidding, he survives. For obvious reasons. You can't die in that world, so Tenchi gladly obliges him. So yeah, that's one of her powers. That's a very, very good demonstration of her hand sonic. The other power is, goddamn, what was it again? It's basically a power where her body kind of goes transparent, or guards. It's like some, I don't know the exact name. Like, I remember hand sonic, but I don't actually know all the names of all of her abilities. She's got a couple. It's not like she's some overpowered being, but she definitely has a couple that lets her, do things that the SSS can't. So she's got another power where she can, make her body transparent, and then she's virtually immune to bullets. But at the same time, she can't move. So it's kind of like a trade-off there. It's also it's demonstrated very well in the first episode where the SSS, in order to gain more meal tickets, because they need to eat somehow, and the only way to eat is to have meal tickets, they use their band called the Girls Dead Monster or something like that, and to basically hold a concert for the NPCs, and they're apparently a really big hit, and throughout the entire Angel Beats lore. So in order to they distract them with the concert, while the SSS members use like wind fan, like giant wind turbines, in order to like blast the wind through the I think the the gymnasium or something like that, and the wind currents basically blow all the NPCs' meal tickets straight on out, and they just the SSS just go out there and grab whatever they can, and that's their meals for the day, or for however many they get it. So during that event, though, Tenshi obviously she has to stop it because that's her responsibility. These people, as the SSS, isn't supposed to hold massive, giant, flashy concerts for the NPCs because who the hell does that? It's a boarding school. No one's gonna do that. So while she's on her way to stop it, the SSS, like the infantry SSS, go over there to go to intercept her path to the gymnasium, so they can so that they can buy enough time for a girl's dead monster to be able to steal everyone's meal tickets. That's what they're doing basically. It sounds ridiculous, and Otonashi would like to agree, but hey, they gotta fight. They gotta work for their food. So that's what happens, and just overall shenanigans like that happen throughout the entire series, and yeah. So let's move on to. I just basically explained the entire first episode. Great. Took me 15 minutes. Took me long enough. So let's move on to why I feel that Angel Beats is a good anime to watch. Firstly, let's talk about the mechanics, like the lore of Angel Beats and how it, like the whole setting it's set in. Angel Beats is a very unique anime in my mind, where it deals directly with the afterworld. This entire story is set, or not the entire story, because the people do have flashbacks, and you get to, the story does tell you some of the flashbacks and some of the histories of some of the characters. Let's see how many times I say some of the over and over. But for the most part, it's set in the afterworld. There's not very many animes that are like the majority of the plotline is set in the afterworld. Yeah, sure, it might seem like no different from like the real world per se, but it's the afterworld because of the constant comical fact, or sometimes comical fact, that these people are constantly dying and they don't care because they're always coming back. You can't die in the afterworld. In the story, that should be like what the catchphrase of Angel Beats. Can't die in the afterworld. YOLO. Or actually, YOLO doesn't matter because fucking you can't die. So yeah. But that's something that I find really interesting. That the fact that Angel Beats directly deals with one kind of perception of the afterworld. The fact that Angel Beats or Angel Beats' take on what the afterworld would be, assuming that there is one, is, in my opinion, is a pretty unique one. I can't really think of any other anime that has really taken the approach that Angel Beats has. Of course, I haven't watched a lot of animes, admittedly. Maybe I should, but it's a very unique take to it. And I really appreciate that. It might, for some people, it might have not been executed very well because everyone has their own opinions on animes. I personally feel that Angel Beats was in its setting wise, it's extremely interesting. Like the fact that the whole afterworld thing. Again, I'm gonna be spoiling you guys for this. I'm gonna be giving you guys plenty of spoilers throughout this entire episode. The fact that the afterworld is there for the real people to kind of sit back, think about, kind of reflect on their own lives, and look on their regrets, whatever. Because the real reason why people are there, in the afterworld, they figure this out towards the end of the later half of this anime. The reason why they're there is because all the real people, have some sort of regret that they have because of their real life experiences. That's why they're there. They initially thought that this was some sort of Buddhism thing going on, like, if this is like some sort of reincarnation thing, like maybe they're in nirvana or something like that, or maybe they're not there yet. Like in the first episode, there's some talk, there's some Buddhist talk, but they figure out that by the end of this anime that the reason why people are there is because they need to, that world is set there specifically for people to kind of think on their regrets. And the moment that they reconcile with their regrets and accept their regrets and their pains for what they are, then that's when they get to go back into the real world. That's that's why the Afterworld is there. They've again, I know I keep repeating this, but that's why that this is what they figure out. I think by I want to say like 11 episode uh 9. I think it's 9. That's when Otonashi kind of wakes up from his dream, right? I'm pretty sure. So that's what they find out. And the main character Otonashi is the first one to realize this. Well, aside from uh, Tenshi, whose real name is revealed to be Tachibana Kanade. So like she knows this already because she's been there for all this time. Otonashi, on the other hand, by I think episode 9 or so, figures this out after figuring out his own memories because he does eventually come to realize his own memories. But I'll leave that for later because I really want to talk about that scene. But he does realize this, and he dedicates. The rest of the anime is dedicated to Otonashi trying to help kind of spread his message per se. Just help other people realize that hey, this afterworld is here so that we can come to terms with our regrets. Come to terms with ourselves and leave this afterworld without any regrets. So that in that sense, I actually really, really like that concept of an afterworld because I'm the kind of guy who believes in don't have any regrets. You know, if you want to do something, do it, or go ahead and do it, but make sure you don't have any regrets. Because if you have because in my mind, if I have a regret about doing something, then that means I essentially just wasted my time. And to me, time is invaluable. Because, we only, as far as we know, we only have one life. And our time down here in our real worlds is very precious. And you should use it as efficiently as you can. Probably explains why I don't sleep a lot, but hey. That's kind of my personal tie with Angel Beats. That's why I like Angel Beats, the setting of Angel Beats so much. The fact that this afterlife that Angel Beats describes is one that directly ties in with my belief of concerning my philosophy concerning regret. You should not have regrets, and if you do, then that means you either need to go back and fix that regret of yours so you don't have the regret, because if you have a regret, it's going to nag at you. It's going to fester in your heart that you couldn't change that. If you can change that regret, then do it. By all means, please do it, because like a regret is just another pain that's going to keep nagging at you. It's going to just wear you down, break you down until you can't take it anymore. If it's one of those regrets where you can't really do much about, then, well, sorry, but you're going to have to come to terms with it. You're going to have to accept that regret and turn it into something that's not a regret. Like maybe another experience. Maybe something, yeah, exactly that. An experience that you could learn from. So that it makes you a stronger person. That's why I really like Angel Beats' whole, God damn my computer. That's why I really like Angel Beats' whole afterlife thing. Another thing that I really like is not so philosophical, but another mechanic of the world. You can make anything out of anything. And the most perfect example of this, or the most vivid description of this, is exactly how, like in the first episode, you're wondering, how are these people getting all these weapons? Like, that girl has one of the most in the first episode, you see Yuri with one of the most expensive sniper rifles in the world, the Shaytok M200 Intervention. I swear to God, they took some inspirations from Modern Warfare 2. Of course, we can never figure that out, maybe unless the developers actually mention that specifically, but like hell, that's one of the most accurate sniper rifles in the world. How did you get your hands on that? And you're in a school too. They explain it in, I think, the second episode or so, when they need to go back down to the guild. that the way that this world works is that you can make something out of nothing, as long as or you can. It's not exactly make something out of nothing, but you can transform something, or like some like random object like dirt or something like that, into something of tangible use. Of course, it makes no sense whatsoever physically speaking, but it's one of the things that the SSS members can do. They can turn dirt into guns and bullets. It's crazy to think about, but apparently that's how that world works. Another thing that I want to quickly mention, Angel Beats also has a manga, like a manga series, I think on Manga Fox or something like that. It's been a long time since I've read that, so I don't know if it's finished or not. But there is a Angel Beats manga, and it deals directly with how like the beginnings of the SSS, like when Yuri first started gathering members for the SSS, and that's in that anime, or not anime. That's what the fuck am I talking about? In that manga, they elaborate on how they figured out like this whole you can create bullets and nails and guns out of dirt. Like they figure it out because quick tangent here. Yuri runs into this other guy who turns out to be in the anime. What was his name? Cha? Yeah, Cha. Weird name, but like the Cha, who's the bearded guy and the leader of guild who provides the SSS with their weapons and ammunition. Cha has a gun in the manga, and he tries to use it to. I think he was the one who tried to use it to threaten the school headmaster. I think what was, and like I think maybe Yuri asked him like, "How did you get your hands on a gun? Like you can't get a gun around here." And he tells her that, "Oh, you can." I figured out that in his little manhole somewhere, somewhere outside the school, somewhere inside the school, I don't know, that you can actually take some scoopable dirt, concentrate on it with it hard enough, and eventually you'll make what you want. And it takes some practice, but they all managed to, like Yuri specifically managed to make like some sort of nail or bullet out of the dirt. So it takes practice, but they know it's possible, and that's what they're doing. Guild is the SSS faction that kind of supplies like they're the underground faction of the SSS. They're like I said, they're the ones who provide all the ammo, the weapons, the supplies for like the military supplies for the SSS by using dirt or whatever random debris and turning it to actual bullets, guns, whatever you want. And that's while it's a really really weird and it's just far out. That's exactly what it makes it so interesting. The fact that this overworld, this afterworld, or this afterlife is so ridiculously crazy. Like it's one thing to be able to just constantly die and keep regenerating, because that's understandable because you're already in the afterlife. Because you've already died in real life. It's plausible that you can keep regenning even if you die in the afterlife. So, it makes sense. You've already died in the real world. What does it matter if you die in the afterlife? It's not really a death anyway. But the fact that you can make the fact that Angel Beats makes it so that you can make something out of nothing, that opens up a whole slew of things. A whole slew of options for the SSS to have. Like you can make guns, you can make computers, you can make anything with enough material and enough time, enough will. You can make anything. Now that is something that jeez, that's something cool. That's really cool. And it might be really out there, but it's fucking cool. The prospect of making a fucking M200. What's the machine gun that Yuri uses on like the later episodes? Like the HK, it's like a drum barrel HK 416 or something, or HK 417. I don't know, but you can make a machine gun. You can get the you can make an R700 that Oyama uses towards the end. Towards the end of the anime, in the final battle against the shadows. Like, that's mind-bogglingly cool. It's fucking awesome. That's another thing that I really liked about Angel Beats. The fact that, there is no restriction to what you can make. You just need enough material, you just need enough will, you just need enough time, and you can make anything. Of course, maybe I could be wrong because it's been so long since I last watched this anime, but maybe there could be some restrictions. But for the most part, if there was any restriction, the anime wasn't very clear on it. So, there you go. Another thing that I really liked about Angel Beats is the fact that the plot. Let's talk about the plot a little bit. Yeah, best segue NA. The plot is, again, it's let me just reiterate this. If I'm into the plot, it doesn't take a lot to impress me. Again, personally, I really enjoyed the plot. For one really big reason, or I have a lot of reasons, but there's one of them that's really big in particular. The relationship between Otonashi and Tachibana and aka Tenshi, let's just call her Tenshi because that's easier to say. Tenshi's and Otonashi's relationship is... I really liked how Angel Beats kind of developed their relationship. Like, at first, in the first episode, Tenshi goes up to him and just stabs him in the heart, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, if you watch that, like, I remember when I first watched that episode, I was like, okay, cool, this girl's got an M200 Shade-Talk M200 intervention. What more can there be? What more can there be? Oh, okay. This guy just got stabbed in the heart by a crazy girl with fucking an arm sword. Okay, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. I've seen it all. But with that kind of introduction, you would never expect, unless you have some ridiculous insight. You would never expect them to have that kind of relationship that the anime kind of builds them up to have. And those are the kind of relationships are most interesting, the ones that you would never expect. Of course, if they don't work out at all, and of course there are going to be people who who don't see like some relationships working out. Like, there are going to be those people, and opinions are opinions. But the way that the plot goes throughout Angel Beats, it builds up their relationship very well, I think. Otonashi comes in, like, he realized, I think it's, by this point I'm just looking at, like, this list of episodes on Wikipedia. Great, best place to look at anime episodes. I know. Thank you. I'm so good at this. But I think on let's see, episodes 5 and 6. Like, episode 5 is where I think Otonashi meets Tenshi, and he asks him her real name. Oh yeah, episode 5 was the hilarious episode with the rocket chairs. If there's any one scene you should remember from Angel Beats in terms of hilarity and funniness, is episode 5. You will crack up laughing. At least that's what I did with my friend Protagonist. We watched episode 5 over and over. It was the most hilarious shit I had seen in such a long time. I still remember cracking over because episode 5, 2 words, rocket chair. Fucking epic. Along with a general sense of, how did you install rockets on the undersides of your fucking classroom chairs? What? What? Who thinks of that? Apparently Yuri did. And some of the scenes are just priceless. Oh my god, I'm just cracking up in tears right now. Just remembering the rocket scene chairs. Anyways, go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. Like, if there's any one episode you should watch, episode 5, named Favorite Flavor. Oh yeah. Damn. Anyways, I'm going off a tangent here. So episode 5 is, in the second half of episode number 5, is when Otonashi kind of confronts Tenshi, and it's during those tests that he finds out her real name. And he decides to kind of pursue her, so to speak. Because by this point, the what is it, vice president, or who's this? Yeah, vice president Ayato Naoi. Like the whole, I guess I should. I won't explain it. It'll take too long. So Ayato Naoi is Tenshi's vice president, and because of episode 5's events, he replaces her as actual student council president, not just vice president, but actual president. And kind of because her title of president has been stripped away from her, you know, she tries to, one day she just tries to, I think in episode, no, it's still episode 5. No, it's not episode. Yeah. Fuck. Was it episode number 5? No, again, it's been such a long time. But basically, Otonashi and Tenshi, one sit down during episode 5 or 6, I don't remember, but they sit down to eat some mapo tofu or something like that, because mapo tofu is apparently Tenshi's favorite dish. And but Naoi comes along and says, like, well, you can't be eating during this specific time. And he for some reason the school has like a prison. Like, what the fuck? Okay. Well, that's not the craziest thing we've seen so far, but still, it's kind of like, why does your school have a prison again? Anyways, so so Tenshi and Otonashi are put into the same room, and with that, Otonashi develops his relationship with with Tenshi. I keep wanting to call her Kanade. I'll probably end up calling her Kanade by the end of this episode. You know, and he convinces her. I don't know if he really does convince her, because she doesn't really talk too much. It's like she's a very emotionless person. Like, it's kind of easy to tell. She's like a very simple person, like, you know what she wants kind of person. But she doesn't talk a lot, and her face definitely does not show very much emotion. So yeah, throughout this entire thing, like, they do definitely grow closer, and throughout this, in like the middle of the episode, or they find out that Naoi is actually a real person, because Yuri sees him beating up like other NPCs, so that he remains in this world, because obviously you're not supposed to beat up other people, and that's his way of staying in this world, staying the school's vice president, or now his president, whatever. And he basically just tortures the SSS, and you know, now he just sends his NPC army against them and just slaughters everyone. And it's found out that he has like this power of hypnosis, and he can force people to disappear. Apparently, I think that's the connotation, or at least he can torture them. But Otonashi, you know, first of all, he beats him down. You have to watch the episode for this entire thing to really understand what happened. He beats him down, bottom line, and he basically interrupts him from causing Yuri to disappear or something like that. And Naoi, you like the anime shows you like Naoi's whole history thing. They did that with Yuri earlier in the early first half of the anime too. Like they reveal some characters' histories, like mainly Yuri's. Who's that other girl? The girl with a devil tail and who becomes the lead singer. After the other girl goes away. God damn, I forget all these fucking names, man. Let's see. Yeah, Iwasawa. They reveal Iwasawa's history. They reveal Yui's history. They reveal Otonashi's history eventually. They reveal Naoi's. They reveal Yuri's, not just Yui's. And they also, like I said before, they also reveal Otonashi's history. And they do it in such a way that, you wouldn't think that it has to do with Tenshi at all, Tenshi is not mentioned at all. And again, spoilers, as if as if I hadn't been giving spoilers all this time. Otonashi's own personal history is that he was living alone with his chronically ill sister, but eventually she passes away because of her illness or something like that. Bottom line, she dies. And he decides to devote his career to studying at medical school, and eventually he gains his grades in school so that he is finally accepted to like an actual medical school. But on his way there, he gets into a train accident, and he survives it with a lot of other people. But the problem is that they're cut off. The train wreck is basically trapping them inside, and he leads them with the help of other people to survive as long as they can. But Otonashi dies right before he's able to, like, the rescue team gets to them. Like, he basically, the anime shows him dying right as the rescue team kind of finds them. And before he dies, though, he signs this one card. Like, how, like, drivers might sign cards. If you live in America, maybe you do this in countries outside America too, but how drivers and vehiclists have like these cards. They might have these cards where if they get into a car accident and they die, perhaps they allow their organs to be donated to other people who need their organs, because because of disease or chronic illness or whatever. Otonashi basically signs one of those, and yeah, he signs one of those. So it's interesting. Okay, it's interesting that we find out how Otonashi died. When he comes to, though, when he comes back to his senses after reliving his memories, because before that time he didn't know how he died, because he was amnesiac, like I said. He didn't know how he died, and you'd have to watch an anime for this, because if I were to explain this entire thing, it'd be taking way too long. But he wakes up basically sleeping on Tenshi. Like, Tenshi, there's this event where Tenshi is fallen sick, not like physically sick, but like her energy is being drained or something like that, and he's basically looking after her in like the school medical ward or something like that, and he falls asleep, with his arms over her stomach or whatever, and during that time, he manages to relive his memories for whatever reason, and he wakes up with, Tenshi also awake, I think. So that's the part where Otonashi realizes that, he realizes why this world is here. Like, he realizes that the Afterworld is here because the people who are here, like the real people who are here, have some sort of regret that they had from their real lives, and the Afterworlds are here so that they can kind of get over it. That's when he initially realizes, like, oh, this thing is, this thing should kind of be, or he figures out why the Afterworld is there. God, I'm so good at explaining. But, it's nice, like, at first we were just like, or at least I was like, okay, that's nice. We found out why Otonashi died, or how he died, not why, but how he died. We figured out who he was in his real life, and possibly what his own regrets was. Maybe his regret was not being able to go to medical school because of his untimely death in the whole train accident thing. But you wouldn't really expect that it had anything to do with Tenshi herself. That's where the magic comes in, for lack of a better term. The reason why I think that this anime, their relationship in relationship in particular, Otonashi's and Tenshi's relationship, is really spectacular, is the fact that the anime manages to, like, you don't think the anime really downplays the significance of their relationship until the very, very end, until the last episode, until the very last scene. Only then do you really realize the true significance of their relationship, because it turns out that when Otonashi died and signed his organ donor card and died, it turns out that Tachibana Kanade Tenshi was actually the recipient of his organs. Apparently, Tenshi was in this operation in her own real life that involved her heart, and she needed to get a heart transplant. And Otonashi's heart, she got his heart, and it makes sense. The anime doesn't say it exactly, but once you think about it, it all makes sense. Or at least I did. As soon as in the last episode, as soon as Otonashi kind of, he and by the last episode, basically everybody's gone, including the NPCs. Like all the NPCs have turned to shadows, or whatever, and the SSS have killed all the shadows, and they have all also realized that hey, this afterworld is meant for you to kind of get over your regrets and return back to real life, so that you can relive it again without regrets. And by that point, they all realize it, and basically everyone's gone except for Otonashi and Tenshi. And when Otonashi comforts Tenshi so that she can also get over her own regrets and return to real life, because her regret, or her wish in real life, was to meet the person who gave her her heart so she could live just a little bit longer. And that person turned out to be Otonashi. And Otonashi, again, I forgot where I was trying to go with this. Like, you realize, or at least when Tenshi told him that she received his heart after he died, I realized immediately, like, I got flashbacks, like really, really vivid flashbacks back to the episode where Otonashi first got his memories back and kind of woke up with Tenshi staring into his face. That's when I realized, because he was sleeping with his head on her heart, basically. She had his heart, thus he was able to regain all his true memories back. He didn't realize it. No one, when I first watched it, I didn't realize that, because obviously, who would have known? That detail of him filling out his organ donor card was minor. I didn't think that it would be so important, but it was. And that's the beauty of their relationship. The fact that Angel Beats seemingly downplays their relationship. Like, it's not a very romantic one until the very end. Like, maybe there's some development here. It picks up speed throughout the anime, but the full significance of it only really hits you at the very, very end. And I think that anime, or Angel Beats, not just anime, Angel Beats did a fantastic job of putting their relationship in perspective. It really makes you think back on what you watched, and kind of have this epiphany, like it gives you this epiphany, or at least it did to me. I got this epiphany, like, oh, okay, I understand now. I understand the true significance of that one, or the true importance of that one episode. It makes sense. It all fits. Tenshi was his organ donor, or recipient. When he died, his organs, or his heart, was extracted and donated to Tenshi so she could live a little bit longer. And the reason why Tenshi was here, or at least this is what I think, the reason why Tenshi was here in the Afterworld, just with the other girl, along with everyone else, was because she wanted to meet whoever it was that donated her heart, that let her live just a little bit longer. It's implied that she didn't live for very long after her initial heart transplant, because obviously organ transplants are very tricky business. If you guys don't know, getting or receiving organs from other people is a very tricky business, and rarely will they go flawlessly. Like there's always a chance that there's always a big chance that if you get like an organ transplant from another human being, your body will try to reject it because it doesn't recognize it. Like it treats it as a foreign entity, tries to kill it. So, especially a heart transplant, for God's sake, you're talking about your heart here. It's one of the most important organs in your goddamn body. So if that fails, you're screwed. Tenshi was so grateful to whoever gave her spare heart, that she went to the afterlife just so she could meet whoever the original owner of her transplant heart was. There must be Otonashi. And she knew all this time too. But she was patient. She was patient so that, until the very end, when Otonashi knew everything, knew the truth of this world, and helped everyone else kind of get over their own regrets, get over their own past, and help everyone else move on. And only then did she, I don't want to say fulfill her own selfish wants, because I don't think there was anything selfish about it. She waited until the very end in order to tell her what she knew about him. It's just natural. She has his heart. So of course she'd know who Otonashi was. She was patient until this very end, and only at the very, very end, until she was the second to last person to disappear, to move on from the afterlife, did she tell him that she was the one who got his heart, and only then, Otonashi and presumably the viewers understand the true importance and the depth of their relationship. That's one of the greatest things about Angel Beats. That one relationship itself. Maybe I'm making this. Maybe this is all trivial to you. Maybe it's just, maybe you don't care for it. Maybe you don't think it's very important to the plot. But I think it's very important to the plot. I think the way that Angel Beats executed their relationship was beautiful. And quite frankly, I don't really know of very many other relationships or very many other couples that mimic this, or that kind of follow suit in a similar way. Of course, given how many animes there are, there's gotta be something else, or there's gotta be a similarity for this. But for now, given my limited knowledge of anime, the relationship between Otonashi and Tenshi is a very unique one, and it's one of the best ones that I've seen. Because it's not a very lovey-dovey relationship where it's just fucking kiss and sex throughout the entire thing. No. It takes time to develop. I said that wrong. I said that really weird now that I think about it. It takes time to develop, and only on the very end, only at the very end, do you realize the full scope of this. Like, the anime does, obviously, because of the fact that it's the last episode, the anime can't really go into much depth about this. But when I thought about it, I couldn't help but think about how painful it must have been for Tenshi. You know, she's human too. She used to be alive. You know, she was there too as a real person. Just no one else knew about it, and she was a very special case. But I can't imagine how painful it must have been for her to resist just outright telling Otonashi the truth. Like what she knew about him. Like from the very start she must have known. Because she has his heart. It's just natural. If she sees, like, the original person who used to have her heart, then it just makes sense. I mean, it makes sense to me. It may not make sense to someone else, but to me it makes perfect sense. If you have the heart of someone else, I mean, wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you know who the original owner of your heart was? I mean, come on, the heart is a really essential organ, and I don't know, it just makes sense to me. So, in my mind, Tenshi must have known. Tenshi must have known who Otonashi was the moment she laid her eyes on him. And I just can't help but think about, like, it haunted me almost. It was to the point where I was thinking about it so much it was almost haunting me. Like, oh my god, how do you deal with that? Like, if I were Tenshi, I would have told that person right away. If I were in Tenshi's shoes, I probably would have went up to that person and said, "Hey, look, I have your heart. Thank you. Thank you for letting me live just a little bit longer." I would have done that shit right away, but instead Tenshi kept it to herself. Kept it to herself so that she could let Otonashi figure out on his own the reason why this afterlife was here. To figure out on his own accord, and his own will, to help other people also realize the true meaning of this afterlife. To also realize that, you know, what he, decide on what he really wanted to do. The whole anime, the whole beginning of the anime is all about, figuring out why you're on this afterlife. What's happening? What's going on? What's going to end up to people? And they figure out why. I personally feel that the relationship between Tenshi and Otonashi is vital to understanding the entire plot of Angel Beats. But that's just me. By far, their relationship is one of the most integral parts of why I think Angel Beats is such a good anime. Because it's one of those relationships, it's one of those things where you don't understand it until the very end. And that's what makes that anime fantastic. You want to keep watching. Well, maybe it didn't give you hints towards why, like, how important their relationship would end up to be. But once you watch through everything, you will have no regrets. Or at least I didn't have any regrets watching through the very end. Because only when you watch all the episodes, it ties in. Everything ties in, and you understand why this course of action continued. Why everything happened the way it did. And that's the beauty. That's also another one of these beauties of Key, the producer of this anime. Key is really, really good at making very touching anime scenes, at least in my opinion. Like in Clannad, in Canon, in air. All those previous animes. I mean, hell, Clannad is one of the few animes that actually made me cry. I'll explain that later, probably in another episode, one of these. But I didn't cry in Angel Beats, but it was really touching. Once I realized, like, the impact, the weight of Tenshi's final words before she disappeared in Otonashi's arms. The only thing that I disliked about it was my own personal wish that they couldn't have been together a little bit longer. You know, that's I have a soft spot for that. I'll admit it. I have a soft spot for couples who I think should have been together, but in the anime itself weren't able to enjoy one another's company for longer than they should have. Again, the anime though, at the last episode of Angel Beats, the very last scenes do imply that they do meet again in real life, in their reincarnation, so to speak. It does imply that they do meet again. Although apparently the DVD version of Angel Beats apparently has this extra episode or something like that. Yeah, like a short thing called another epilogue. Otonashi apparently remains in the afterlife and becomes a new student council president, and he helps he like he tries to carry on the message of letting other people know the true meaning of this afterlife and helps them move on and stuff like that. So I guess that's like an alternate ending. But the ending that the anime showed, it leaves you with a very, very refilling sense of hope. Like, that scene was pretty soul-crushingly depressing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, me personally, with my whole soft spot for, like, those couples where I feel like they should have been together a little bit longer. Yeah, I was pretty depressed at that. But the last few scenes of Otonashi kind of they didn't show their eyes, so it's kind of implying that it might be them, but it's pretty clear it was Otonashi and like a shorter haired version of Tenshi. Those two kind of meeting up again in real life, and that was also in the happier sense very touching. So yeah, those are my opinions on Angel Beats. Again, I've been talking for over a freaking hour, but there you go. Final word: do I recommend Angel Beats? Definitely. If you like slice of life style, action-packed, kind of like crazy-ish animes, but with a good plot that makes you keep watching throughout it doesn't compel you well, yeah, actually it does a pretty good job of making you want to keep watching through the next episodes, and as long as you can get yourself into the groove. But it's the kind of anime, like I mentioned before, that once you see everything, the last final episode is pivotal in connecting all the other episodes together. If you like having those epiphanies, then this is the anime for you. It's not a very romantic one, Oh, well, except for the fact that now it kind of turns gay for Otonashi towards the end. But it does have its share of romance. Like, there are some love triangles going on. I won't say those. One of them involves a gay relationship between Naoi and Otonashi. We will ignore that. But if you enjoy anime with like a crazy sense of action, if you enjoy very touching scenes, if you enjoy anything that I mentioned that I felt was very good about Angel Beats, then Angel Beats is good for you. It's hilarious. It's touching. It's it's very, I guess you could say it's very thought provoking. It's not as thought provoking as other animes that I know out there, but it still kind of makes you think a little bit, and it's very epiphany based. So if you like those, Angel Beats, or if you're just a fan of Key's works in general, Angel Beats definitely follows in Key's legacy of anime making. It's definitely more action packed than their other animes like Canon, Clannad, or something like that. Because hell, every other episode you got people fucking guns blazing, mowing people down, and there's a lot of blood. In both in the comical sense and the dramatic sense, there is a lot of blood. So I'm not going. It's not like gore-ish. Like there's no gore. Like you don't see bones sticking out of people's dismembered limbs or something like that. But there is a lot of blood. People do get shot. So just want to warn you on that. If you don't like the sight of blood, even if it's on an anime, you may want to, change the episodes. Like look up some episodes and see what kind of episodes you want to watch. But you can't miss them. Like the thing is that you need to watch them in order to get the full sense of what happens. So you're gonna have, even if you don't like blood, there's gonna be a lot of it, and you kind of have to sit through it. You kind of have to, bite your teeth down, bite your tongue, and digest it. But that's why I think Angel Beats is fantastic. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Also, Angel Beats is pretty unique in the fact that it's one of Key's only animes that don't involve it being like an original visual novel. It's a completely original story by one of Key's story writers. I believe I have to check up on that. Don't take my word for that, but there you go. Also, it has one OVA apparently called "Stairway to Heaven," where they try to figure out the location of God, because by this during in the OVA, the setting of OVA is kind of set so that they're still trying to figure out why Tenshi's there. So the OVA is pretty fun. It does give you a little bit of insight into Tenshi's own personality. In that OVA, it's revealed, like it's first revealed where Tenshi's love of gardening comes from, because she's a very avid gardener, and the OVA is where they first show her, like, her love of gardening, basically. So that's kind of important for kind of understanding who Tachibana Kanade is or was in real life. Also, there are other very interesting things about Angel Beats. Angel Beats got its own freaking, like, Girls Dead Monster. You think like, oh, it's just a band, right? No, it's not just that. They're actually a live, like a real band, a real freaking band. They made their own OSTs, like original songs, specifically for Angel Beats. That's pretty rad, especially for an anime that came from an original story and not like from a visual novel or something. That's insane to me, personally. Like for a 13 episode anime, these guys put in the dedication to hire a band or to form a band or something like that, and to specifically make songs designed for placement inside Angel Beats. That's mind-boggling to me. That's pretty awesome. And the songs aren't bad either. They're really good. You have to understand, those songs are really, really good. And I had it on my own iPod for a long time before I had to remove them because I didn't have enough space. Their songs aren't trash. They're really top notch. So that's another thing that's pretty unique about Angel Beats. The fact that they had their own freaking band dedicated just for Angel Beats. Of course, maybe I'm exaggerating that a little bit, because I don't really know the whole backstory about Girls Dead Monster. Maybe they existed before Angel Beats, Or maybe I'm right in saying that they got created specifically for Angel Beats. But it's really cool that they actually had their own songs and made just for Angel Beats. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. This has been another hour-long episode of Symposium of Contemporary Criticism. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys later. Definitely go check out Angel Beats if you haven't done so already, and thanks for watching. ゆっくりしてってね。